How goes the family? Welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Hopefully, you guys have been having a great Saturday and all that good stuff. I'm not going to be on too long tonight, but figure I check in with everybody. I know most people probably watching the Roy Jones fight and all that good stuff, because that's since there's not many events going on nowadays outside of football. I can definitely understand that and respect it. So let's get some music going. It's like still getting back into my groove and all that good stuff. Um, Let's hold on a second. Share the audio. Boom. All right, let's do this. Got it. All right, perfect. All right. It's Saturday. We're going to talk about why people should be getting their profit on in the United States so many different ways outside of just having a job and all that good stuff. All right, let's get the show started. All right. Anyways, family, hopefully you guys have been having a great day. So basically, you see the title, America is a beautiful country because it's a capitalistic country and because so many people are profiting even in the COVID-19 economy. And the question comes to mind is when the title, because a lot of people even say, why aren't you profiting and whatnot within the United States of America? And the problem is, and me and my brother from another mother, Chris, have talked about this on a multitude of occasions. It's really a lot of times it's the school system and how previous generations have been taught and whatnot. Because I notice how a lot of other communities across the United States, when they take information from the school system, but then they have their own code of conduct and whatnot in regards to how they not only make money, but how they value money and how they create assets and create assets for their future generations and things of that nature. So that's what I respect the most. I say that with sincerity. And I notice the difference when it comes to all multitude of things, not just businesses, but if somebody's a manager at a job, and they, people believe in, nepotism in a big way. So they're like, hey, I'm going to hire my son, my daughter, I'm going to hire my cousin, my niece, my nephew, whatever have you, or my uncle is a manager over here at this specific company. So they're going to give me, they're going to hook me up at least with an interview. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to get a job, but they're going to hook me up with an interview and whatnot. And then, of course, you have the people who profit from a multitude of levels because they live together. That's one way of looking at it. They put their money together. They not only buy businesses together, but they share cars with each other. There's a lot of sharing. There's a lot of, like I said, when I say get back to community, I mean on that level. There's a lot of sharing of information. Even if they don't necessarily do business together, they don't mind sharing information with one another. And, I think that's one thing that, even in the information age, yes, there's a lot of stuff people can Google, but there's nothing like having that one-on-one conversation with somebody that not only has the information that you seek, but has the life experiences that you seek. Because mentorship is obviously very, very important. And I've noticed by reading a lot of books, talking to a lot of individuals, mentorship is one of the biggest things, whether it's a career, whether it's on a different life path that you want. A lot of times it's not even just to get the great information, but that mentorship can keep you motivated. That's another great way to look at it, motivated. Because a lot of times people don't even complete things in life if they're not motivated. A lot of people never complete school on any level because they lack the motivation. They don't complete a book because they lack the motivation. Motivation is very, very important. They don't get in the best shape because of the lack of motivation. So a lot of these things are very important. They don't start the life that they want to live because of the lack of motivation. Because a lot of times a mentorship could be your significant other. It could be one's child. Mentorship can be their boss. Mentorship can just be a person that is one's elder. And I always respect my elders and whatnot, who's got a lot of life experiences, and and you could see that, hey, this is the kind of lifestyle I want to live based on him or her's life experiences. So it would behoove me to shut up and listen to what they have to say. You know what I mean? And I think that's very, very, very important for people to take into consideration, but that's one way of looking at it, one. And then two, that's another way of being able to engage and be able to profit and whatnot. I've seen children that work for a family business, whether it's a food cart, whether it's a cleaning business, whether it's a landscaping business or whatnot, and they're soaking up the game from their family members, whether it's their mother, father, uncle, aunt, cousin, whatever. They're soaking up the game of how business works, not only just developing a great work ethic, but how business actually works and how business is actually conducted. I mean, like, I remember it was sometime last year, I had to get my tires changed, and I went to a mom and pop place, and I remember that everybody, I asked, I said, is everybody here related? And he's like, yeah, how'd you know that? I said, I get to see you guys have that camaraderie and whatnot that you usually do not see at a shop, at a tire shop and whatnot. You just don't see, like, everybody was cousins, brothers and sisters and whatnot, or just family friends. So they might as well have been related or whatnot. But they were all working for a common goal and a common cause in order for them to profit. Okay. And a lot of, like I said, a lot of people come to the United States with a profit mentality, not a I'm going to look fancy mentality and all that good stuff. There's a lot of people, I call them, they look broke, but they're not broke kind of people. The clothes might look shabby because they're blue collar. There's nothing wrong with that. I got a lot of respect for blue collar workers. Got a lot of friends with blue collar workers. They drive the oldest car. They live in a smaller house, and things of that nature. So they look like they're in a broke category, but secretly they're not. Secretly they're planting their seeds all over the place from a economic standpoint. So they're voting with their dollars, as I like to call that too. They're putting their dollars and time and energy into things that grow and whatnot, not just things that keep them stable and whatnot. And then, and it takes years of work, obviously, just like anything else in life. It takes years to get a college degree. It takes months to a year to get a certification or something and get good at that sort of skill trade or license or whatever. Because even when you get a degree, a certification, a license in something, you still have to go through the years of experience in order to be quote unquote known as a professional or expert or specialist, et cetera, and so forth, in order for you to be not only just known, but respected. You know what I mean? It's like reputation is key, because we can say and do what we want on social media. A lot of people love to do that. Okay. They love to go back and forth and pretend that there's something that they're not. And eventually you will get called out. It's just what it is. Especially it's funny example. I was watching an old episode of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, old Will Smith show. And the one thing about the 90s, it was I can Google everything. So it was easier for people to pretend like they were something that they're not compared to now. You know what I mean? Like, some people, they get away with it for a little bit, but eventually the chickens come home to roost because of technology, because of social media, unless you're just a person that's just off the grid. But even then, somebody can take a picture of you and upload it to something and, curtains. So eventually you will get found out if you are not who you say you are. That's the best way to put it. But I will say this all with sincerity. It's profit time because, 2021 is almost here. The next 5 years to 10 years are going to be very, very interesting and very, very rough. But I want to see the future generations be able to, when they come out of high school, to have a mindset of ownership, and not just ownership in a nice car, not just ownership in a nice house, but just ownership in collaboration. I want to see more of that, because there's untapped markets that a lot of people don't realize. And I'm going to start with, but before I even start with that, there's a lot of untapped markets out here, because the school systems even the private school systems don't teach you, hey, you can go start a company and become quote unquote a contracted company service, meaning you contract services when it can come to janitorial services, security services, landscaping services, information technology services. It's always they train you a lot of half the time the information is irrelevant. The other half the time the information pertains to you being a good employee. Like I said, I'm not talking bad about teachers and whatnot. I'm just talking about how the school system is designed and set up and whatnot. Once a kid, to me, I look at it like this: once a kid becomes old enough to have a job, 15 to 16 years old, then that kid should be taught how to create a job too, in a sense, not at least from a one-on-one aspect to where they have an understanding by the time they leave high school of how a company really works, how companies function, and how taxes work. Just from a one-on-one aspect, doesn't need to be hardcore from a financial professional or anything of that. From that note, from a CPA, because obviously that's what college is for, and that's what life experience is for. But at least from that aspect of when they decide what they want to do, or which direction they want their life to go in. And I truly believe that most people don't know where they want their life to go as far as the direction until they reach the age of 25, 26. But that's just my personal opinion. Maybe 21 or 22, but definitely not the age of 18. Let's just be realistic about it. But hey, some people might as well at the same time, but I say all this to say because of, the COVID-19 world, the transition, for the last 15 years, I'm going to say since 2005, all the major cities have been overly populated and whatnot, and have been gentrified because, a lot of people wanted to live the city life, because back, 15 years ago, 2005, it was normal to not work at home. I think even though around that time you had a small number of people that were doing it because the internet was, still growing, not the phenomenon as we know it today. Businesses were still, utilizing internet services and whatnot, but it was still growing, not as you see today. So it was, still abnormal for one to be on their laptop or desktop to work from home and whatnot, but it wasn't, unrealistic. Just wasn't as normal as it is today, or even the last 5 years, put it like that. Because a lot of corporations, it's been normal at least a couple of days out of the week. But I digress. But you see more people moving out of the major cities, moving back into the suburbs. And it's funny because I was listening to an economist today, and he was talking about, and you should definitely look this up. It was called the California Journal. He stated, and I quote, that the rents in Los Angeles are at an all-time low, meaning the cost of rents are at an all-time low. But the areas known as Orange County and Riverside County, as far as the housing prices, are at an all-time high because there's a lack of inventory, and most people are leaving the major cities now since they're like, hey, my job might be in LA, but I'm allowed to work from home. So people that are in a position to where they've been working from home for all these months, they're like, hey, why am I paying all this money to live in the city? And I need more space because, I have kids, or, me and my significant other work different shifts or things of that nature. So I need more space. And in a place like California, the gyms, I don't think they've been open since freaking February. The gyms have been closed down. So ever since the pandemic started. So, people want to be able to work out, that's just what it is. So I get it. So people need more space. So the suburbs are looking much more lucrative now because we're in the stay-at-home economy. So the suburbs are looking a lot more lucrative, in single family houses. And I said this on my other channel, Patterson L Properties LLC. Once a house goes, especially a single family house, goes on the market, it sells just like that. So now I kind of wonder if the prices in LA are actually going to go down anytime soon. But because the thing is, like a lot of other parts of the country, a lot of rents are not being paid. Mortgages aren't being paid. I think they said even 30% of mortgages in the state of California have not been paid within the last couple of months. So people are taking advantage of the forbearance program, which I think is a good thing because, hey, for a lot of people, they need that help. They need that relief. Because they can't pay their mortgages. And a lot of other people are like, hey, I'm going to bank my money because who knows what the future holds. The times are very uncertain. And one thing that caught my attention about the economist, since we're almost in December, he stated, and I quote, that people, because of, the quote unquote vaccines have been, they're testing at a decent rate, and they're expecting by the springtime for it to be at an acceptable level to start issuing to people. And I know they're supposed to go out to the first responders, at least that's the word. And I commend it because they should, military, police, emergency personnel on all levels. They're out there they've been out there in the thick of this all since the beginning. So nothing but respect and love for you all out there that do the right thing, and continues to do the right thing. All right. So nothing but respect and love to all you all. And especially even teachers, hat goes off to them. Like I said, I'm not dogging teachers. Teachers have had a very trying time this past year. I would imagine maybe a lot of them are happy that, hey, they able to, maybe they're working from the building or from home doing with their lesson plans and things of that nature. Maybe some don't like it, maybe some do like it. I mean, we are in the digital age, so it is what it is. But that is one thing I can say with sincerity, that that's the major shift. And I just don't see, because if people are leaving the major cities in mass droves and they're moving to not only suburban communities but rural communities, and they're buying homes, then that means them returning to these major cities anytime soon. It's not most likely not going to happen. And with a lot of cities, the homeless population unfortunately has increased, and the crime population has the crime has increased a lot as well. Hopefully within the next 4 months, I say 5 months, hopefully within the next 5 months, there's some relief, and we can go forward from there. But the prediction from the economists is by April, by spring, April, May timeframe, they're hoping that there is what is it? That obviously there's success with the vaccine. They're hoping that there's success with any stimulus that's going to be placed out. So I'm like, hey, I'm looking forward to that all at the same time. And they're just hoping, so it's, and I kind of, if anybody is a Game of Thrones fan, it actually reminds me of the whole winter is coming, and winter is around the corner and whatnot, especially since we're in December almost. And it's hibernation time. I mean, that's why I'm taking my trip within the next week and a half, because I think the next 5 months is going to be hibernation time. It's going to feel like March all over again. So until April or May of 2021, it's going to be hibernation season. And I think more cities and states are probably going to shut down and whatnot so they can get a handle on things. So, and I get it. At the end of the day, I totally get it. But that's the whole winter is coming theme that is happening right now. Excuse me. So everybody hibernate as much as possible if you can. I think, and I'm just going to be honest, he made a statement like, for the next 5 months, save as much money as possible. Whether you're doing good, whether you're doing bad, whatever your finance, and I know that's bad for the economy, but I think that's what it's going to be. I think it's probably going to behoove everybody to save as much money as possible, whether you're doing, no matter what your financial situation is, because it's a very unpredictable time that we're living in, but back to the subject at hand, because I think when winter's over, I think more and more collaborations need to happen. Now, when I say more and more collaborations, great example, I'm going to get on a Zoom call with some brothers that I was thinking about doing some business with back in January, whatnot, before COVID hit the fan and whatnot. And, life happens. So COVID slowed down a lot of things for everybody, And it's like I said, I think things are going to slow down again because, my Patterson L properties, Larry's Anything Goes. I sell products and whatnot. I do the affiliate marketing with Freebay, things of that nature, where you can. It's a referral marketing where you can buy gold, buy cryptocurrencies, different cryptocurrencies and whatnot. Refer others to do the same thing. Make dual monthly commissions off of when people sign up and they sign other people up, and when they purchase specific gold or cryptocurrency and things of that nature. That's the Larry's Anything Goes side of the house. Now the Patterson Up property side of the house is my real estate, where I wholesale real estate, buy tax lien properties, and sell the tax lien properties as is for a profit and whatnot. And but tax liens, a lot of them have been canceled unless they've been online. I still need to look into the Phoenix, Arizona tax lien. But a great example, I was supposed to go. It's been postponed like 3 times this year with the Philadelphia tax liens, and I was supposed to go to Philadelphia to go bid, but and I've said this in other videos. I think it would just behoove them to get like city of Baltimore, and just have online auctions. I think that's because if they really want to get rid of that inventory of houses and they want to get their money as a city, then I just think it'd behoove them to put this online, because if it's not online nowadays, less online, less money, less revenue. That's like me trying to sell my products and whatnot and expecting people to come see me face to face, where you could be from anywhere in the country and whatnot, or around the world, So that's just not going to fly at the end of the day. Let's just be realistic about it. and whatnot. But anyways, I digress. Now, there's industries that's not talked about enough, especially in my personal opinion, within the African American community. Um, and I'm even talking about this. I'm writing a book called Leachonomics, so it's going to be interesting. I actually can't wait to finish. It's going to be a small book, so just got started on chapter 3. But anyways, my first book, so we'll see how it goes. But anyways, so contracting. Let's start right there. Now, there's contracting services on a multitude of levels, and most people see it all the time. I mean, you live in a neighborhood, a garbage company is unless you live in the city, because a lot of times you have the city or the county that actually has a government entity actually removes the trash and whatnot. But, for all intents and purposes, most garbage companies are corporations and whatnot, major, small mom and pop and whatnot. And they compete for contracts when it comes to commercial facilities and for specific neighborhoods and whatnot. That's why a lot of housing associations, HOAs, have contracts with garbage companies. All right. Snow removal companies. Majority of the time it's one or two people that are, especially I can just imagine if you're a slow plower in the Midwest and whatnot, or the Northeast, I know you're killing it and whatnot, making some serious money. But if you're in the DMV, you're not making money like that. We don't have winters like we used to, even though they said we're supposed to have a bad winter this winter. But anyways, back to the subject at hand. I'm from the DMV area. Most people know that, meaning the Washington, D.C., Maryland, Northern Virginia area, from the Northern Virginia side of the house and whatnot. And like any other state and city, they have, state governments and city governments and whatnot. So I will start with my county government that because I grew up in Prince William County, which is right outside of Washington, D.C., about 40 minutes south of Washington, D.C. They spent, as of June 2020, $4.9 million. And this is in obviously COVID relief. But if you summarize it all up as well, they spent a good chunk of that amount of money on contracted services and whatnot. I'm not going to get into the exact numbers and whatnot because they fluctuated, but obviously you can look it up and go from there. But that's just a great example of a lot of county services that are contracted out, from landscaping, cleaning, information technology services, construction services, vending machine services. I mean, the list goes on and on. Maintenance services of, buildings, things of that nature. Lights go out, tile needs to be replaced, drywall needs to be replaced, plumbing issues. Just imagine if you as a company are getting access to those kind of contracts and whatnot, because contracting is not new and it's not going anywhere and whatnot. So you have a lot of people who own small family businesses, towing services, mechanic services, because you have county vehicles and whatnot. Especially when it comes to the police department, when it comes to schools. I mean, hey, school buses and whatnot. I mean, like I said, the list goes on and on. County vehicles, and the same thing goes for the state, government and whatnot, because, the state of Virginia, as a matter of fact, they spent about $17.3 billion in contracted services and whatnot within the past fiscal year, FY19. Yeah. And that's what the majority of Virginia's appropriations were spent on that. OK, is it a good or bad thing? I don't really care. I'm just saying the fact that there's a lot of the one good thing, because everybody always talks about the negative when it comes to business. I'm going to talk about the positive because I'm the positive guy. I know that's illegal and it's not going to get too many likes and whatnot, because if I was talking about a lot of ratchetry and yelling and sounding like I didn't read books and whatnot, I would get way more views. But that's not me. So anyways. So just imagine, and then those same kind of services and much more services that I have not mentioned, because I'm not a state employee. I'm not a politician. I'm not privy to that information, but I'm just going to the public data that's actually available via the state's websites. But it just goes to show, it's like all these things that people aren't aware of and whatnot. And there's all these things that it's never taught in school, where your tax dollars go to specific things, no matter what state you live in. You can live in Mississippi, Alabama, Virginia, California. You're going to pay a tax, doesn't matter what. So, and I don't think that's a bad thing either. You're going to pay taxes. So, but anyways, So a lot of things revenue go to those specific services that I mentioned, and way more. Okay. Is this a bad thing? Absolutely not. But the beautiful thing about the government, and one person said this on the news years ago, it doesn't create jobs, per se. It creates an atmosphere so jobs can be created and whatnot. And government contracting is another great way, for, especially if you want to start a business and whatnot. And obviously, if you start a business and you become good at a specific service, then you go do your own homework. Don't just go off of what some guy on YouTube and Facebook is saying. You do your own homework and say, hey, okay, well, how do I end up, getting my company getting access to those services and whatnot, so I can get access to those funds and whatnot. You go on your local county government or state government's website and you act accordingly. Same thing if you want to, go into the federal government contracting aspect, and that's across the spectrum. There's a lot of money to be made there, especially if you provide good services. And and obviously, you most likely would want to do this if you have an established company and you want to ensure that you have a great reputation. Obviously, you're in line with state and federal government guidelines and county guidelines, to ensure that you're a legal entity that can operate in a legal and an efficient manner. You know what I mean? Now, obviously, when it comes to the Bigkahuna, as they say, the federal government actually spent in 2019 up to $6 billion in contractor services. Okay. So that, and I just thought that was very, very interesting, and because a lot of companies have profited, off of providing a good service to the federal government, and providing a good service to the state government, and providing a good service for the county governments and whatnot. And, in those sectors, a multitude of those kind of services are mentioned, and various others, and especially IT is very big, no matter what, serve government entity. They all obviously, especially nowadays, because you think about it, that's why if you look at even the stock market, tech stocks have just been going through the roof. Even when they go down, they still just continuously going up. Why? Because tech is being utilized more than ever in freaking history. Okay, when you really analyze it, like I just made an example, the people that I usually talk to on a face-to-face basis, we only really talk via Zoom or via StreamYard nowadays, or Facebook, because, we're living in the times of social distancing. Heck, even when I was down in Houston, Texas, I was still social distancing. Shoot, I made that video on the beach. I got to a spot where nobody was around, and that's when I took my mask off. But as soon as the video was over with, you better believe that mask went right back on. So yeah, it's like, even people made fun of me. Even when I got around people, I made sure I had my my thermometer on me, my electronic, like, hey, I need to measure your temperature, brother and sister. Make sure you're good. But we are in the time of tech, and in a big freaking way. And I find it very interesting that, these kind of services are out there. And I just wish that these kind of services were actually talked about more and more. So, especially if you ever even gone to a corporate building, a government building, majority 9 times out of 10, they always have vending machines. And they have some sort of a cafeteria or a little snack shop at and whatnot. As I like to call a mini version of 7-Eleven or a gas station, or a Sheets, or what's the other place? It's not Sheets. What's that place? Okay, it slips my mind. I was going to, if you're in Pennsylvania, they call it Rudders and whatnot, but you have Sheets and you have Wawa. That's it, So you place where there's sandwiches and some coffee and beverages on all levels, excluding alcohol, obviously. Chips and sweets and things of that nature. And you could buy like sandwich meats, and, you can buy microwavable foods and things of that nature. Popcorn. But, you usually have people that run shops like that, and they get contracted services and whatnot. Or they just have a real actual mini cafeteria where they only serve a selected amount of food. Usually half the time the food isn't the best, depending on where it's at. But, and a lot of these places, it could be a big company or it could be a small company. These people get the contract for X amount of years and whatnot. They hire their staff. They have they're getting paid a significant amount of money. and they have their food vendors, and then obviously the people who are the delivery when it comes for the vendors and whatnot, they have to make the deliveries to that specific location, and whoever owns those companies are making money, and whoever has those jobs are making money. So it's that trickle down theory in a sense, not to where everybody's going to get rich, but to where everybody can make a little bit of money and whatnot. So at the end of the day, because the thing is, it's like the crazy thing is with the social distancing though, and a lot more places being quiet and whatnot, and it's like it's becoming normal for it to not have hundreds or thousands of people to be in a specific building anymore. That's becoming the norm nowadays. So with that being said, it's going to be interesting what the future is going to look like and whatnot, because I mean, heck, even going to a 7-Eleven or whatnot, or even going inside a gas station is going to become abnormal unless you just desperately need to do it, especially if you live in like a more rural atmosphere, or if you've been traveling on the road, because road travel has been very high. And hopefully my people that were actually traveling during Thanksgiving, during this holiday, that people have been very, very safe and whatnot, because I don't wish anything bad on anybody. I don't want anybody to get sick. I don't want anybody to die or nothing to that effect. Definitely stay safe as possible. But that's just a multitude of things to think about. You know what I mean? And then a lot of times, people, gas services and whatnot, for certain, because a lot of times certain governments will have contracted services with specific gas filling stations or mechanic stations, a lot of times. And they might not have them at where the actual government entity is, but they actually might have a service. So whenever something's done, needs to be done or whatnot, and even corporations, like forget about the government, a lot of corporations do a lot of contracted services, from cleaning and everything else that I've listed earlier, and even information technology. I mean, I worked at a corporation one time, and all their IT staff was contractors, and they were working for another company. So that's becoming the way of life in a lot of instances. So it's just something to think about. You know what I mean? And I think in the United States, more and more people, especially within the African American community, we need to be thinking on the level of checkings and savings, dollars and cents, the mortgage and the rent, and forget about all the other stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, especially political nonsense. Like I always say, don't worry about who's in the White House, worry about what you're doing in your house. Okay. But yeah, I think that those are things to take into consideration, to not just always look for the high paying job, but what are the other services. That's why I commend my brother, Terrence Alexander, who has the carpet cleaning business and in the COVID-19 cleaning business and whatnot. He's been getting more and more contracts. So I give him a lot of respect and a lot of, credit because there's one thing that's not going away is a lot of blue collar jobs, especially when it comes to given the fact that more and more people are leaving the major cities, going to rural towns. And all this is really is possible because of people being able to work from home. Okay. That's really majority of the time. This is possible because more and more people moved back to the city because they didn't want to have an hour to 2 hour commute to get to work every day and go home every day. That quality of life sucks. So if you live in a nice house in a nice community and you don't have to freaking get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get someplace that you really don't want to be, you just want to be able to work in peace and have a nice place for your children to live, I think that's a great freaking thing, But I know in this country, like I said, a lot more blue collar jobs are going to continuously grow. And the more people that get those contracts, those specific, those are going to be the winners. So a lot of people who consider themselves hard workers, start getting your team together, because a lot of people love working outside. They don't want to be in those stuffy office. They don't want to be in the house all day. It would drive, like, for a lot of people, this pandemic has drove them crazy. Unfortunately, you had more domestic violences and people breaking up and whatnot because they can't stand being around each other so much. So I behoove, especially my blue collar folks, especially my folks that don't mind getting their hands dirty and whatnot when it comes to landscaping and cleaning, and when it comes to mechanics and things of that nature. Definitely keep getting the ball going. Think about owning your own shop one day. Maybe think about owning your own construction company one day, even if you do work for somebody. And because I talk to people that are construction workers, but they have their little own construction company on the side. And when they get enough contracts, they actually end up just quitting their job and they just, continuously move forward with the construction jobs and whatnot, or they just become independent contractors. So it's, there's a lot that people are becoming more and more independent, more and more self-aware of a certain amount of things. And before I end tonight's little broadcast, because I just find it very interesting, hopefully I still have this photo, and because I want to read it off, because it was one of the realest things that I can say that I've learned about 2020. I mean, I knew this. I really knew this starting back in 2017 when I started this channel. I will say that much, but there's something about 2020 that just brings it all to fruition and whatnot, and just makes it true. No matter who you are, no matter how you think, how you believe, country you live in, what your political beliefs are, all that it's like I said, I call that irrelevant right now. It says the biggest lesson from 2020: have multiple sources of income, save money for an emergency, save money to buy assets that make money, that take that money and use it to buy more assets that make money. That could not be more true right now. No matter how you slice and dice it, no matter where you're at, that cannot be more true. And I'm glad I shared that on Facebook and Instagram, because it's just the God's honest truth. And then, like I said, to add on to that, have a circle of people that have some sort of financial literacy, no matter what level it is, because we know everybody cannot be a business owner. That's impossible. Okay. But have a group of people around you that talk how one can benefit from real estate, how one can benefit from stocks, how one can benefit from individual retirement accounts, how one can benefit from any aspect from financial levels and whatnot. All right. Even if somebody's like, hey, we got a better paying job over here, come over here, but the conversation has to change to, we want to be not only good workers, but we want to be some sort of owners. We have to be an owner of stock. You have to be in the game on some level. You have to contribute and help your friends' businesses out, even if it's $5 or $10, because my mindset is, if you have a friend that has a business and you never spend any money, or you never even shared a post, then that's not your friend. That's just an acquaintance. That's somebody that knows you. I'm just going to call it like it is. All right. Now, this one tweet from the brother Jimmy from Buy the Hood, and I love this. He stated, respectfully, and I love that he started off with the respectfully: the next generation can't inherit your fancy degrees or jobs. So use your fancy degrees and jobs to buy assets. Use your fancy degrees and jobs to buy assets. So that means if your car looks like crap, but you have assets, that you're doing the right thing. But if you're vice versa, then you're hustling backwards. Can't put it any other way. If your car looks good, but you barely got money in the bank, if your house looks good, but you barely got money in the bank, something's wrong with that equation. An asset creates money. So if your house doesn't create you money on a monthly basis, then it's not an asset. It can become an asset if you take out equity lines of credit and whatnot, or refinance your house and whatnot, so that you can either save more money or you do a cash out refinance to where you get X amount of dollars back. So it can become an asset on that level. Okay. But what are you going to do with that money? That's the thing. And we want people to start inheriting. If you can't inherit a business from you, then they got to be able to inherit some sort of an asset from you, meaning it's got to be insurance, real estate, stocks, bonds, cryptocurrency. Need I go on? But that's what we need the next future generations to inherit, because the next 5 to 10 years is going to be a bumpy freaking ride. I cannot stress that enough. It is going to be a bumpy freaking ride for those who are not prepared and those who are not even talking about it. Okay. That's the thing. It's like, you got to start a discussion, and then you got to implement, and then you got to support each other too. That's the real main thing. It's just like, I'm tired of people spending too much time hating on each other and not supporting each other. I think it's a waste of time, to be perfectly honest with you. Like I said, I don't have time to hate on anybody, especially if you're trying to do good things in this world and you're trying to make moves and whatnot. You got nothing but love and respect from me. Okay. Nothing but love and respect. So that's how I look at it, and I just keep it simple. Sorry about that. I was reading this funny quote and whatnot. I mean, funny comment from my brother Radu. But anyways, on that note, family, hopefully you guys have a good night. I was not planning on going live tonight, but the subject matter was on my mind and I definitely wanted to talk about it. And, you know, I know most people are, for those who watch, thank you for watching. Please give a like, share, and subscribe. Those great 3 free things. My Cash App went off, so thank you guys for contributing to the Cash App. It's always greatly appreciated, the Cash App and the PayPal. And for those who purchase products on the store, you don't have to. You can spend your money with anybody. And when you spend it with me, I put it right back into the business, known as Larry's Anything Goes. So on that note, have a great evening. Enjoy the rest of your Thanksgiving because it's basically almost over with now. Can't believe it's tomorrow's Sunday. Hey, November just flew by. 2020 is just, we only got 1 more month left in this year, man. It's crazy. So anyways, for my California people, hang in there. For any other state that one resides in and they're shutting things down again, hang in there because I know it's rough. You know, 2020, especially for those who are in the entertainment business, the service industry, they've been hit the hardest. You know, my people that work in restaurants, movie theaters, nightclubs, you know, any service industry where it requires, you know, stadiums where concerts take place. You know, I mean, it's insane. You know, like just anywhere where it's supposed to be a huge gathering with people. That's the industries that they work in and whatnot. Hotel industries. Like I said, I was in Houston, Texas, and I felt like I had the hotel to myself. You know, and I felt for the workers. You know, that's why, you know, I'm always go out of my way to be nice to people unless they give me a reason, obviously not to be. But, you know, I felt for them because you could just look at the staff and tell they were bored out of their freaking mind, you know, so it's crazy. But at the end of the day, we're going to continuously survive. We got to just get through this winter and hopefully I'm sure that things will get better within the next 5 months. So that's just, I'm gonna keep it positive and I'm going to speak it to an existence. And I hope you guys speak positivity into existence, not only for yourselves, but for your families, because there's enough negativity, especially out here on the internet, that we don't need people to be getting involved in anymore, because to be quite honestly, it's a waste of time. It's like constantly being angry. You know, it's a waste of time. You got to get up and do something, you know. You got to get up and do something and make a move. And, you know, if you fall on your face, as long as you don't die, you can just get back up and, you know, try again. All right. So have a great day, family. I'll see y'all on Monday because Sundays I definitely don't stream. So I will see y'all later. Take care.